Awesome. So got a great panel. So Gil and Debbie both told us that this world is changing fast, right? That it's changing from multiple angles and multiple times, and consumers are starting to ask AI all kinds of questions: what to buy, where to buy. They're even asking AI who they should trust. So from each of you and where you sit, what's the mental model of what you're seeing today, and maybe how marketers should be thinking about it to help understand this fast-changing world? CP, you want to start?
Yeah. Well, for the past 25 plus years now, we've been operating in this digital web, right? Where you have blue links with consumers on one side who are clicking through to purchase something. And on the other side, you have brands, also humans, who are orchestrating that journey. And like that's where AI has really come and shifted things, right? People really enjoy the conversational nature of AI. They deeply trust the recommendations that AI gives them. And so what we're seeing is this shift from one web to three webs that are really living in parallel, right? We have the human web of blue links, which we all know and love, very well known and established. We have the LLM web, which is the way that we engage with Copilot, ChatGPT, and the like today through conversation or audio. And then we have like a little bit more nascent, but still very much here today, is the agentic web. And this is where we ask AI to do things for us on our behalf, and it goes and does those things. And so I think it's really important for brands to be aware of this dynamic, have strategies for how their brand can shine and stand out in each of these webs, also have a more holistic strategy in terms of the synergies and how those marketing strategies can work together. I think those are the things that can really help brands stand out over the next few years.
I love the framework there. Sue, as an ex-Amazonian, I know you love frameworks.
Yes.
I'm curious how
all about the
Amazon
frameworks, right?
about that.
Yes. Well, essentially, in short, I think we're seeing a shift in behavior, right? Where now people are discovering products, asking. So it's not about people searching, it's about people asking, and you have to be part of that conversation from the get-go. Otherwise, you're missing out on this whole product discovery journey. So that is the fundamental shift we're seeing with agentic commerce. And I think this is a really exciting opportunity because it's actually an incremental opportunity, sales opportunity, and the way people discover your brand and your product. So before, when it was all about like search and like the whole keyword ranking, it was basically about if you don't make it to the list, you'll never be discovered. But now with this agentic commerce space and agents recommending super hyper personalized to your profile, my prompt and your prompt is all different, and the products that show up in those answers are very different. And actually, you can find new products that haven't been able to be surfaced in the keyword search list before. And this provides immense opportunity for brands and sales to be discovered in a new way. And so I think that's really the shift that we're seeing, and an exciting opportunity for everyone.
Simon, bring us home.
Yeah, certainly to echo those thoughts, I spent a lot of time thinking about this idea of agentic commerce. I think we are broadly talking about it, though, in very different ways. It is inherently spectral. And when I think about that, what I'm really getting at is that consumers have a different degree of difference in different scenarios. And so while we are talking a lot about just this agentic consumer, I don't think it has nearly gone as far as folks think it will. And so a lot of time we spend going, will folks transact in these environments? I don't know. I think OpenAI pulling back was a really interesting signal there on having their bolt-on payment system. But certainly as we think about it right now, it's really about influencing the mechanism of discovery and influence.
All right, so let's unpack each of these mental models. CP, let's start with you. You laid out a framework, the human web, the LLM web, and the agentic web. Debbie showed us a little bit about how LLM web in action is, driving for consumers. If that's where we are now, then how does Microsoft Copilot, what's their role in commerce? And how should brands be thinking about it? What are actionable things that these brand and agencies should be thinking about as they think about that LLM web today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think first it's important to call out that these three webs that I laid out, human, LLM, and agentic, there's so much synergy between these three things. And so, from a Copilot and Bing perspective, we look at it from a better together perspective where, actually what we see is that people who use Bing are 2 to 3 times more likely, people who use Copilot are 2 to 3 times more likely to use Bing. And so when thinking about Copilot, it should be a part of your broader commerce strategy and done alongside the work that you're already doing with traditional SEO and SEM. That said, Copilot is the canvas where we're building our agentic commerce strategies. We find that people who spend time in agents and specifically Copilot, their purchase intent goes up significantly, right? So we are really building experiences that are designed to be additive, both for the consumer, of course, as well as the brand. And so, if I was starting my own business, if I was in the commerce space myself starting my own business, there'd be 3 things specifically that I'd be thinking about working on right now to make sure you're increasing your AI discoverability. The first would be having an AEO, GEO strategy. That's all the things you can do organically and structurally to make sure that you're showing up in AI assistance. The second is building towards Universal Commerce Protocol. We've talked about it a couple times today. UCP, we look at that as the future foundation for agentic commerce. And the third for me would be having a brand agent. So building your own agent that can connect with consumer agents that come to your site, an advocate that sits on your site. We have resources for all 3 of these things. We have really robust UCP and GEO guides, as well as an out-of-the-box agent for anybody that uses Shopify as an e-commerce platform. So I think those are resources worth taking a look at as well.
Awesome. Sue, lots of questions about Rufus, and then you guys dropped a bomb this morning.
Timely.
Timing. It was so great to time that with our event. Maybe share, for people who haven't been on LinkedIn yet this morning, maybe share the change that was announced today, and then maybe talk a little bit about how brands can prepare for Rufus or Alexa. I don't even know what we're calling it now.
Yeah, perfect timing. So if you haven't seen the news, go to the Amazon app. Basically, there's an Alexa logo at the bottom where you can now basically ask Alexa to search. So basically, Alexa and Rufus is combined in one search bar. So you now not only can search, but you're asking Alexa to literally any question that you want, and it will automatically search the product and actually deliver it to you. So now Amazon is making an AI, already the world's best AI personal assistant, to measuring the closed loop to you. So you're now starting conversation, delivering conversation, and then driving to conversion, and then actually getting it delivered. So all of this is enabled to close loop now through the combination of Alexa Plus and Rufus. So this experience is actually enhancing the experience not only from the Alexa side and Rufus, and what this means is that as a shopper and the data perspective, all of it is unified across devices. So if you search through Echo, that information is saved, and then later as you go back to your mobile and have it researched again, it's automatically popped up and ordered and added to your cart, et cetera. So all of this is seamless, and that experience itself is fundamentally shifting how people will start using Rufus. Just to take a step back, I'm going to tap into a little bit of what Rufus engagement shows today as we see today. So as of today, we have up to 300 million people using Rufus, and the engagement is going up up to 400% year over year, and monthly users have been increasing 115% year over year, which is a significant sign that shoppers are not only leaning in, but heavily using Rufus as of today. And what this means for advertisers and brands is that if you're not already there in those conversations, you're missing out on these opportunities to be discovered. And again, a little bit of, not to add on to the panic, what this means is that all your previous tactics on search engine optimization is still the foundation of everything, but now there's an added layer for you to optimize to get discovered in conversation ads. So I would say this is the fundamental shift in what we see in Rufus, and the engagements are happening, and we hear a lot from our brands and customers already that whatever tactics worked just to focus on search ranking is no longer working because the shoppers' behaviors have already begun to change.
Simon, Tenuity is doing this on the day-to-day level with many leading global brands. What perspective can you kind of add?
Yeah, I think there is look, I'm very bullish on the idea that we are able to intervene and seed and send signals to these LLM environments. I think where I have concerns right now, and where when I'm chatting with clients, their concerns are around this idea of the observability as these because it's all sampled intelligence right now, and this idea that every consumer experience is becoming that much more personalized. So it's really hard to actually determine how your brand was surfaced in these individual moments. And so that's one of those pieces that I struggle with, like how well can we actually measure this moment in time? I do think that both Amazon and Microsoft have given us some really great gifts though. So I will share one. Everyone should read the Cosmo white paper from Amazon. That tells you how tells you how Alexa for shopping works. Tells you all the internal ranking mechanisms. And then on the Microsoft side of the house, using Bing Webmaster Tools for topical intelligence, those seem to be the areas that we're really clustering around in terms of what are we building out for our clients, how are we thinking about their product catalogs and providing them with that information to source to the open web.
So Gil said something this morning, and Simon, I want to kind of come back to you briefly on this. He didn't say that you use AI to work faster. He actually said that it's a fundamentally new operating model, a hybrid workforce, if you will. We also saw Skai Studio. I know that you've had an opportunity to see Skai Studio. I'm kind of curious your take on this idea of a new operating model and maybe impressions of Skai Studio.
Yeah, in a word, impressive. And truthfully, while I think there was a lot of excitement around Celeste last year, I didn't quite capture that hype, right? I used it a couple times and I was like, okay, this is returning products that have nothing to do with my query. And I understand these things build over time. When I saw Skai Studio for the first time and sat down with it, I was enamored by this idea, not just the workflows, because if you create 50 different workflows, then you get into workflow debt and it becomes a whole challenge to itself. And they didn't talk about it too much, but this idea of squads and the idea of how you are chaining these agents and interactions together, I think we're entering the era of vibe advertising, and that is what that tool is going to provide. So I'm really, really bullish on Skai Studio in particular.
So CP, I know you haven't seen Skai Studio completely, but I'm just kind of curious your general take on the idea of the new operating model.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to hybrid workforce, I love what Gil said and completely agree. Obviously, people have been using general agents for some time, becoming dependent and on those answers. And more what we're seeing is people building their own lightweight agents. For anybody who hasn't, they're incredibly easy to build and really help you be more productive. I mean, so those two use cases, businesses are already doing and already ready for and often encouraging. What Gil's talking about is a really big and meaningful step forward, right? Into the shift, the direction that we're going, where you really do have to kind of look across the entire organization, define the roles that you want humans and agents to be doing, how they can work together in order to optimize both for a truly AI optimized organization. And that is hard work. It's truly transformational work, but it is something that is incredibly worthwhile. And it seems like the tools that you have are really going to be helpful in getting your brains.
And it's keeping Jim up at night when he's trying to sleep. All right, so quick show of hands out there. We can kind of see you if we block the lights. How many of you have built an agent? You have some kind of co-work where you hit one button and it's taking a bunch of actions for you. Raise it high, raise it high. Okay, so probably about the same as our survey. I've looked about 20, 30% of the room. Anybody built a fully autonomous action where it's taking the full action, there's no human in the loop? Of course, Simon has his hand up. I got one or two. So it seems like our room is fairly on par with where our surveys were taking us. Our time is flying here. They didn't give us a lot, but I was joking backstage that the four of us should do a podcast, and I'm going to try to arrange that.
Love it.
I know how to get permission from Amazon. I got good at that. So one final update from each of you is, as brands are kind of moving forward, what's maybe a tip or something they should be thinking about how they can stay ahead? Right? There's so much information coming at them. What's something they can be doing to kind of stay ahead? Sue, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I know there's we get a little bit obsessed about metrics and CTR, CVR, ROAS, but now is a time to really test and learn. I cannot emphasize enough. And if you actually look at all the data that Amazon adds, it's a conversational prompt, so it's mutual. The insights are mutual. So you have to firstly be able to share in all the information consistently so that the AI agents pick up the right information. And this is across all surface layers. So this is across your product catalog, it's across your structured backend data on all your product attributes like color, biodegradable, all the nitty-gritty product attributes you can list on the backend should be super consistent and accurate. And that way the agent can pick up and personalize it to the shoppers and make it discoverable. For you as a brand or an advertiser, what insight you can get from the agent is actually through the prompt. So for example, if you are advertising on Amazon ads or sponsored prompts or sponsored brands, there are sponsored prompts report that you can get. And if you actually look at the prompts, yes, we also get, again, CVR, CTR, there are a lot of questions around that. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's actually meaningful, deeper marketing insights that you would have not gotten if you hadn't spent like a couple of $1,000s to get from a shopper research. It's like you can get what proof points work, what are the shoppers looking, what are clicking on, what are they comparing versus other competitor brands. So there's a lot of marketing insights you can get for your brand. And so through those insights, I think it's a really good time to test and learn. And instead of like just turning off because something doesn't work, I think it's a really critical time to just test and learn and iterate through both creatives and text.
Yeah, and I think you limit yourself if you go into the old campaign management keyword philosophy into the new world of AI and LLMs. We saw, or we have seen as we've launched ChatGPT, they don't even call them keywords, they call them contextual hints, which is the same as a sponsored prompt, right? It's what question is gonna be asked that you wanna show up for.
Exactly.
Simon, you wanna share some parting advice?
Yeah, so I think a lot of organizations do still struggle with this agentic transformation moment. And so what I would really hone in on is finding your AI problem solvers. These are folks that are gonna be subject matter experts within their discipline. They're the ones who have a degree of intellectual and technical curiosity. But they're also, and this is perhaps the most critical, they're able to delegate effectively. And often we think about this in a management criteria, but when you think about how you're interacting with an agent, it is about that art of delegation. And it is an art because there's some balance to this in the way that they are able to construct and solve for problems using the agent as a partner and not just as this tool that they're engaging. I think that is the way that we'll see these things moving forward. So find your AI problem solvers. Yeah,
and I think that's a good plug for the AI check the expert check, where you can kind of see where you're currently sitting, and maybe that's a survey you can bring back to your team to kind of see where they sit. You want to bring us home here?
Yeah, I mean, I love both of the points. I'll just build on the one around measurement. There's often a real appetite to optimize in this space before you really know what your measurement foundation is. And we've talked about a couple of tools today that are awesome as a baseline to understand what your citations, your grounding queries, all the things that really help you understand where you sit versus your competition are. I'd recommend looking at the AI Performance tab on Bing Webmaster Tools. Also Clarity, that's a really, really great tool to take a look at. But yeah, start with your foundation, understand where you sit from an AI discoverability perspective, and use that to optimize.
Awesome. We've covered a lot in a short period of time. All four of us will be around for most of the afternoon. So please, you've got 3 experts and me, and you're welcome to go to the experts and ask them a question. And you can see that from picking their brains, you could probably get a lot of information to help you with your business. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.